What's up guys, Phoenix here. This video is going to be a combo demonstration video slash guide to having first turn Elder Cannahawk. Now it is sort of a guide-ish type video because this might be the first video in a series of Ritual Beast guide videos that I do on how to play the deck in certain different situations, certain different combo strings, things like that. But I don't think I'm going to get into a habit of doing these unless these videos are well received. So essentially at this point it's just a combo demonstration video, but it might grow from there. But essentially, the reason for this video is that yesterday I posted my Ritual Beast deck profile to my channel, and it is the first Ritual Beast deck profile I've ever posted. It's the first time I've ever shown to my subscribers that I had an interest in this deck and that I knew how to play it. So in response to this, I was met with a lot of people messaging me through any form of social media they could get in touch with me on, through both of my Facebook pages, through DN, through YGOpro. Anywhere that people could talk to me, they would message me and they would ask me questions about this deck. And some people even requested that I watch some of their games and, you know, let them know if I thought they were playing well, things that I would do differently in the situation they were in, things like that, so they get a better feel of the deck. And what I ended up learning is that a lot of the people that are newer to the deck, and as well as some people that are at least well enough versed with the deck and at least have some knowledge of the deck, a lot of people actually don't understand the most optimal way to perform first turn Elder Cannahawk. Now, not to say that there's any right or wrong way to do it, but there is definitely a most optimal way, and the most optimal way to perform the combo uses just Elder and just Cannahawk, and you end with Ambush and Steeds with an ulti Cannahawk on your board, but you also have one Ritual Beast Tamer and a Spiritual Beast banished, as well as one Ritual Beast Tamer and one Spiritual Beast in your graveyard. So both Ambush and Cannahawk's tag out effect are live on your opponent's turn, thus allowing you to potentially Steeds them for 4, as well as start your next turn with 4 monsters on the board, all with different names, one being Cannahawk, one being Elder, one being any Tamer, and the other one being Apelio. Now, not a lot of people actually understand the correct structuring to this combo, and it's actually just a minor change that you perform that not a lot of people know about this step. While they do know that Elder Cannahawk is a very powerful opening, and they definitely end with Steeds and Ambush, oftentimes I'll be seeing them getting their second search by depleting their banish pile completely and not being able to tag this card out, and that's very detrimental if you happen to be playing against a deck like Shadal's, a Shadal variant or something like that, or if you just, you know, need to Steeds for a lot during your opponent's turn. Also, it puts all of your resources back in grave, whereas Ambush can only get 2 of them back. But anyway, this video is essentially just going to be me showing the most optimal way, what pretty much everyone believes to be the most universally optimal way to perform the first turn Elder Cannahawk play. And then we'll just be going from there. If I still have time, I'll show how first turn Elder Cannahawk can deal with your opponent doing first turn towers. But anyway, you're going to have Elder and Cannahawk in your hand plus 3 other cards. The 3 other cards do not matter, so for the sake of argument, they're all traps. You'll go summon Elder and get your additional normal summon to get out Cannahawk. And you'll use Cannahawk to banish an Apelio from your deck. I should have organized this a bit better. So you'll banish an Apelio from your deck. And then you'll immediately tag these into, or contact them into, a ulti Cannahawk. Now, here's the part where not a lot of people are very fluent with how this works. Most people that I've been watching, and most people that have, you know, asked me, and, you know, that don't really have a knowledge of how this play works, at this point, most people will activate the search effect of ulti Cannahawk. But that's actually not optimal. What I mean by that is that you'll activate the search effect of, you know, ulti Cannahawk targeting, you're pretty much forced to target these 2, and then you'll tag out, and you'll get Elder and Cannahawk back, and Apelio will go to your grave, and then your Cannahawk will get a banish again. You'll get a search for Steeds or Ambush, Cannahawk will banish again, and then you'll tag out and back in, and you'll only end up with 1 guy banished, but with 3 in grave. So at this point is where a lot of people actually, you know, kind of screw up. You still end with Ambush and Steeds, but it's definitely not the best it could be. So at this point, you contact straight into ulti Cannahawk for the first time, and you go ahead and you tag out of ulti Cannahawk back into Elder and Cannahawk without activating your search effect. This is a step that not a lot of people know about and a lot of people miss. the very first time that you summon Cannahawk, Ulti Cannahawk, in your Elder Cannahawk play, you don't actually activate the search effect. And the reason for this is because it allows you to get another one of your tamer names banished before you start putting cards in the graveyard and depleting your banished pile resource. So these are on the field and they've been summoned for their one special summon per turn, restriction. So you'll activate Cannahawk's effect again. Now at this point, I usually go for either Laura or Win. You just want a different name other than Elder. You can obviously do Pilica as well, but this is the one that I want to, in my build, typically keep in the deck as much as possible to use off of like Oracle of Zephyra and stuff like that. As well as its like recursion effect being ideally the best, and these ones having the best stats being banished. Usually Win is the first one that gets banished though, and Laura and the Pilica stay in the deck. At least the way I play. It doesn't really matter. It just has to be any name other than Elder. Even if you play Zephyra Windy, you could do it, banish that one as well. It does not matter. But now at this point, you'll contact back into your Ulti Cannahawk, and I'm stacking these vertically just to show that they're still in the banish pile, but they've already been summoned this turn. So their restriction is preventing them from being summoned again. So now at this point is when you'll start getting your searches. Your second Ulti Cannahawk search is where you'll start getting your search. So what you'll do with your Ulti Cannahawk is that you'll target small Cannahawk and either Win or Apelio. It does not matter which one. It just can't be Elder. And you'll target these two for the search effect to attempt to return them to the graveyard. Then you'll contact out of Ulti Cannahawk, and you'll special summon the Win and the Apelio, so that your Cannahawk goes to your graveyard. And then at this point you'll get your search for Steeds or Ambush. And you'll set it. So it's just here. Now at this point, Cannahawk is in your graveyard, but you have an Apelio on the board, and these have both used their once per turn summon restriction as well. So you'll use Apelio's effect, and you'll re-banish the Cannahawk to your banish pile, and make everything gain 500, but that's irrelevant if it's your first turn. If it's your second turn, and you're like playing against a Towers turbo deck or something, that's when it kind of becomes relevant, but overall it's not really that relevant on your first turn, or if it's the second turn of the game, but your first turn. So you'll have these, and your Cannahawk is now banished again. So now you'll tag, or contact rather, I keep saying tag, but it's technically contacting, into Ulti Cannahawk for the third time. Now you'll have one more search effect to activate, and you'll put one of your tamer names and one of your spiritual beast names into the graveyard off of Ulti Cannahawk. Now you can't tag back out because they've all used their once per turn summon restriction. So you're either going to put Win and Apelio, or you're going to put Elder and Cannahawk into your graveyard. I typically put Apelio and Win into the graveyard, just because like these cards are the ones I want to recur off this first. So at that point, you'll search for Ritual Beast Ambush, and you'll be in a situation where you're in the most optimal finishing spot that you could be in. You have one Tamer and one Spiritual Beast in your Banish pile that will be live to summon on your opponent's turn, as well as having one Tamer and one Spiritual Beast in your graveyard to be live to summon on your opponent's turn as well as having Steeds and Ambush face down. Like I've said, a lot of people will skip the first Ulti Cannahawk summoning step of not using the search effect yet, and they'll end with something like this, where like these three are in the grave and this is banished, thus making only one of these actually live. This isn't live. This is the only card that would be live, and that's very like detrimental in terms of the fact that you're giving away free advantage like that, especially if you end up playing against Shaddoll's, because you won't be able to tag this out in response to like Shaddall fusion, and they'll be able to fuse from deck, getting a +2 or more in resources, and it's just going to be downhill for you from there. But if you don't ignore the first Ulti Cannahawk summoning step of just tagging it straight back out without searching, you end with 2 banished and 2 in grave. So during your opponent's turn, you're going to be able to do something like, if say you're playing against a Pendulum deck and they Pendulum out 4, or they're just playing some deck that can put 4 monsters on the board, Senju, something like that. You will be able to tag your Ulti Cannahawk out into these 2 guys on your opponent's turn, as well as Ritual Beast Ambush on your opponent's turn for these, and you'll be able to Steeds them for 4. Even if you aren't going to be Steedsing your opponent, you can when your opponent enters end phase, you can just go ahead and tag out and ambush into these back and soak up their restriction to 1 summon per turn on your opponent's end phase, and then you start your turn with all of these on board, and you'll be able to get 2 Apelio boosts in a turn, you'll be able to get 2 Cannahawk banishes in a turn. At that point, your plays become extremely non-linear, and they become very, very focused on whether or not you have an understanding of what you want your ending field to be as well. So it doesn't even matter if you steeds them, it's just Elder Cannahawk puts 4 monsters on your board at the start of your next turn if you do it correctly. As well as, these are food to banish for Apelio, things like that. As well as just being a situation where you end with these 2 banished, thus this decontact effect is live. And if your opponent is playing dolls and they activate Shaddoll Fusion, you can just tag it straight out into these, and it forces your opponent to, use stuff from hand, and if they weren't prepared to do so, then you're going to punish them for that. Just things of that nature. But anyway, that's about as long as I want this video to get, even though there is, just a lot of relevant explanation on, what you should be doing with this deck, with Elder Cannahawk. Just a lot of people that I've found just don't understand that one missing step. They understand what Elder Cannahawk can do, but they just can't figure out what step they're missing. And there's a lot of points with certain decks where I'm like that as well, and I need someone to show me. So that is essentially the purpose of this video, is to just show that there is just show everything in as much detail as I possibly can to make it easier for people to learn with this deck. Because, as I've said in the deck profile video, if you are really wanting to challenge yourself as a player and want to play something different and want to play something that's got a really high skill cap and is always going to support your room for improvement, this is the deck that I recommend to do that with. Because even I, playing this deck, putting up boards, this is the only deck I've ever played where when I end a turn, I don't know if I played correctly or not. I always feel like there was a better play or a better board I could have established, no matter how efficiently I do things, no matter how well I win, no matter how well I out a board or establish one. I never feel like I made the 100% correct play, because I always feel like the deck can do more, and I feel like my knowledge and my limitations are what's holding the deck back, and not the deck itself. But anyway, that is going to be all for this video. It went a bit longer than I was expecting it to be, but I mean, hey, I had to explain things. Comment, rate, subscribe. As always, links are in the description to both my Facebook pages if you want to chat with me like other people have been. Those are going to be your outlets to do so. You could also find me on DN, DEVpro, YGOpro. The names that I use on those are going to be in the description as well, so you know what to look for. Yada, yada, yada. But the names should be obvious. Click on that if you have not. I greatly appreciate it. It helps me make money, and there's no reason to lie to you guys about that. But I would not take it personally nor be offended if you decided you did not want to. Just know that it helps me out immensely if you decide to do so, and it's so appreciated, and it just helps me out more than the world could express, essentially. But that is all for this video, and as always, guys, take care. Let me know if you enjoyed this kind of video. I definitely might do more Ritual Beasts type videos in the future. Like I said, the deck is very non-linear once it gets moving in terms of the combos that you can do, but I can definitely pinpoint the more linear strategies and things and make more videos on those if that is something that you guys want to do. Like the video if that's something that you want to see in the future. The more likes the video gets, the more I'll be able to, gauge if that's something you guys want to see. But I've rambled on long enough. As always, guys, take care.